So check it. Before X passed away, there was apparently this post he threw up on Instagram where he was basically saying if anything goes down, then Drake has something to do with it. What makes it even crazier is that an attorney at X's court case straight up pointed the finger at Drake as being behind it all.
And do you think that for one moment, here today, days after the event, two masked men, right? He came on social media and said, guys, if anybody is Drake, do you think in that time span that they went and they addressed him, they talked to him? No. Do you think sitting here today, years later, any detective has ever asked, Drake or anybody like that? No. They never did that. So you ask yourself, how could that be? And you say, hey, it's so-and-so. You better believe so-and-so is going to get investigated. But in this case, they didn't do it. They didn't do it because it didn't comport with their version and their narrative. And as law enforcement, I think that they have the obligation to do so.
Now here's what really went down. June 18th, 2018 started off with X sliding into his BMW i8 and heading over to Riva Motorsports, this huge spot that sells motorcycles, boats, and all kinds of off-road rides. X spotted a bike he was feeling, and that's when a manager mentioned they cut deals if you pay cash. So X bounced from the store and hit up his mom on the phone. Evidence from the trial showed this. He told her he was about to grab a new motorcycle. His mom said to go scoop his uncle first so someone could bring the i8 back to the house. After grabbing his uncle, the two of them rolled to Bank of America to pull out the cash for the bike. Security cameras even caught X walking through the bank doors.
During your encounter with Mr. Oswald during this time, what was his demeanor like? Fun. Was anything that?
That same teller ended up testifying at X's trial, telling the jury he tried getting $250,000 in cash, but she had to turn him down. Bank policy only lets you walk out with 50 grand unless you put in a special order ahead of time. She gave him the $50,000 right there and arranged for him to pick up the rest another day. What X didn't know was that Michael Boatwright, Dedrick Williams, Trayvon Newsom, and Robert Allen had posted up in that parking lot, eyeing his i8. Robert Allen, who ended up snitching during the case, said they were already out hunting for a lick that day when X's whip pulled up right next to them. Pure chance. Once they peeped whose car it was, they started following. X and his uncle headed back to Riva Motorsports, and these dudes had two things on their mind. Get that diamond chain and whatever was inside that Louis Vuitton bag he walked into the bank with. When X got back to Riva, the four suspects parked their van on the other side of the street. Two of them followed X inside to keep tabs on him, while the other two stayed with the vehicles, making sure X's ride didn't disappear. The two who went inside even bought the ski masks and gloves they'd use for the robbery right there in the same store as X. Security footage shows them walking in, and you can see X lock eyes with one of them on camera. X kept browsing motorcycles with his uncle, but since he couldn't get all the money he needed that day, he ended up not buying anything. That meant every dollar in that Louis V bag was still sitting there, and these robbers would later be flexing with it on Instagram, but we'll get to that. This mistake cost X his life. When he got back to his BMW, he sat there for about 7 minutes. Court records show he was scrolling through Instagram and Twitter on his phone. Those 7 minutes gave the other two robbers enough time to leave the store, run to the van, and get ready. When X finally pulled out his parking spot and headed toward the one-way exit, a minivan cut him off, completely blocking his path. Two masked men jumped out, one on each side of his car, both strapped, yelling at him to roll down the windows and give up the bag. X wasn't giving up that Louis Vuitton bag. The robbers were heated at this point. His uncle, sitting in the passenger seat, threw his door open and took off running straight back into Riva, leaving X completely alone with a wide open entrance to the car. A struggle broke out through X's window while the other robber circled around to that open passenger door, and that's where he shot X. The two grabbed the Louis V stuffed with cash and jumped back in their ride. During the trial, prosecutors laid out who did what. Dedrick Williams was behind the wheel and blocked X's car, while Michael Boatwright and Trayvon Newsom threw on the ski masks and brought the guns. X's uncle bolted, they closed in on X, and Boatwright pulled the trigger. This is where things got real clear though. Robert Allen, one of the four guys involved, cut a deal with prosecutors and testified against his co-defendants. That's how we found out exactly how they divided up that 50 grand, complete with photos of them showing off the money on social. Michael Boatwright, Dedrick, and Trayvon each pocketed $15,000, which left Robert with just $5,000. Pretty wild that the dude who got the smallest cut ended up being the one who flipped. DJ Academics reported that X's final words were asking what this was even for, which makes the whole situation hit even harder. X was completely confused about what was happening to him. Everything went down in seconds. People nearby at the scene were pulling out their phones, snapping pictures, and throwing everything online. Word about X's death traveled through social media like wildfire. Rappers started posting tributes and sharing memories they had with him. Juice WRLD, who talked with X multiple times before, spoke out about what the rapper meant to him.
We had a couple deep conversations, talked on the phone a few times. He had nothing but positive stuff to say. For real. We had respect for each other at the end of the day. And that's what was gonna kind of lead into a friendship. He just said, make sure is keep all negative people out of your life. And just make sure that you have good energy around you.
He also went on a radio show where he opened up about how he made his track Legends, which was his way of paying respect to X after his passing.
We had a couple deep conversations, talked on the phone a few times. He had nothing but positive stuff to say. For real. We had respect for each other at the end of the day. And that's what was gonna kind of lead into a friendship. He just said, make sure is keep all negative people out of your life. And just make sure that you have good energy around you.
X left such a powerful mark on music that even in 2024, major figures like 50 Cent were saying he would have dominated the entire rap game if his life hadn't been cut short.
We had a couple deep conversations, talked on the phone a few times. He had nothing but positive stuff to say. For real. We had respect for each other at the end of the day. And that's what was gonna kind of lead into a friendship. He just said, make sure is keep all negative people out of your life. And just make sure that you have good energy around you.
Ski Mask the Slump God also spoke about growing up with X and opened up about the impact he had on his life.
I met X in juvenile jail. Both was in juvenile jail spending time. Then we just was like, yeah, we need an outlet to just stop getting in trouble. All we like to do is hit licks and do hood friends. Long story short, so it's just all right, we need to find something to do. So we was in there just beating on the tables, because all you can really do is sit there and stare at each other. So we sitting there beating on the chairs and stuff, and then we just figured out each other could rap, and then we just helped.
X's story really shows how quick everything can change in this world. One minute you're out living your life, making moves, planning to buy a motorcycle, and the next minute it's all over. The way everything unfolded that day at Riva Motorsports still hits different when you really think about it. 4 dudes just sitting in a parking lot waiting for any opportunity, and X's I-8 pulls up right next to them. That's all it took. Pure timing, wrong place, wrong moment, and a young artist with his whole future ahead of him loses everything. The trial brought out so many details that people didn't know about before. Watching the security footage, hearing the testimonies, seeing how everything was planned out step by step. These weren't some masterminds pulling off a calculated heist. They were scrambling, buying ski masks and gloves in the same store as their target. They followed him around, waited for their chance, and took it. The fact that his uncle bailed out the car, leaving him alone, still sparks debates. Some people understand the survival instinct, others can't wrap their head around it. Either way, X ended up by himself in that final moment. What really messes with people's heads is thinking about what could have been. X was only scratching the surface of his potential. His music was already connecting with millions, breaking streaming records, influencing a whole generation of artists. He was evolving too, experimenting with different sounds, showing growth as a person. When someone like 50 Cent says he would have been the biggest in the game, that means something. That's not just empty talk, that's a legend recognizing another one. The court case dragged on for years, keeping his name in the headlines for all the wrong reasons. Dedrick Williams, Michael Boatwright, and Trayvon Newsom all got their sentences, but that doesn't bring anyone back. Robert Allen took his plea deal, testified against his own crew for a lighter sentence. The whole thing exposed how quickly loyalty disappears when prison time enters the conversation. The dude who got paid the least ended up being the first to flip. $5,000 versus potentially life behind bars makes that decision pretty clear for most people. X's influence didn't stop after June 18th though. His streaming numbers kept climbing, his music kept reaching new fans who never got to experience him while he was here. Songs like Saad and Moonlight became even bigger after his passing. Juice WRLD made Legends as a tribute. keeping both X and Lil Peep's memories alive through music. That's the power of art, it outlives the artist. That ski mask the slump, God still carries that connection they built from the ground up, representing for his brother whenever he can. The whole situation with Drake hanging over everything adds another layer that never got fully answered. X putting that message out on Instagram before his death, then a lawyer mentioning Drake's name during trial testimony. Those dots never got connected officially, but the internet never forgets. People still debate it, still wonder if there's more to the story than what came out in court.